Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you more Space Marine goodness. You have, as usual, continued to really enjoy this series where I delve into painting and background and lore for a specific Space Marine chapter. I've basically been doing one of these a week for the last couple of weeks. I think we have 6 or 7 of them done now, actually. Every single one of those videos has done pretty well. The one we did last week was for the Carcaradons, or the Space Sharks, and I did mention in their lore that some of their equipment has been taken from the Mantis Warriors, and obviously you guys are very curious to find out why the hell they could do that. So what I thought I would do is I would just continue it on. A lot of you guys ask for specific Space Marine chapters from the Bedab Wars, so why not give you guys what you want? So we are going to do a Mantis Warrior in today's video, which is a kind of a bizarre one. It's an interesting Space Marine chapter color-wise. Like, if I was to describe it to you, I don't think anyone would ever collect them. It's like a yellowy green armor with yellow shoulder pads and a black backpack and a yellow face, and it just sounds awful. But it does for some reason work when it's all together, and it is definitely one of those cases where when I was finished painting this guy up, I had a newfound respect for the Mantis Warriors and was maybe do a squad of them at some stage. So hopefully you guys will stick around and enjoy this video learning about another chapter from the Bedab Wars. Before I get into this video, I just want to say a huge thank you to all the people that support me out there, whether it's just by watching the videos, whether it's liking, commenting, subscribing, whether you're a member of the Patreon, support me in that way, which is huge. All you guys are top tier supporters. Thank you guys so much. Also, there's ways to support me, such as checking out my affiliate links. You can buy all your hobby goodness from places like Element Games. Use my affiliate link that's down below. It costs you absolutely nothing extra. You get up to 15% off. And yeah, I get a nice little kickback. So those things are all amazing ways to support me without spending an extra penny yourself. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and get another Space Marine painted. Okay, so this is the miniature we have chosen as, once again, the Assault Intercessor. Is a beautiful miniature to use to represent color schemes. Nice open pose. Beautiful sculpts. I mean, just really easy to work with. So we talked a lot about the Mantis Warriors and what their history was and how they were connected with the Space Sharks and what happened there. So there's actually kind of more than these 2 chapters involved in this particular engagement, the Bedab Wars obviously. But there's many intriguing things that happened during the Bedab Wars, and hopefully if I go through each and every one of the chapters that took part in that particular engagement, then you'll kind of piece it all together and it'll make a lot of sense. So we are going to start with, or we're going to continue with, the Mantis Warriors now. So the Mantis Warriors, also known as the Mantis Legion, is a loyalist, ? Space Marine chapter. It was created to help relieve the progenitors, or their progenitors, the White Scars, in monitoring and countering the many threats harbored by the Maelstrom warp storm in the Ultima Segmentum, and fragmented records indicate it may have been raised during the 8th founding of the mid-31st millennium. The Mantis Warriors were eventually ordered by the High Lords of Terror to become part of an alliance of 4 Space Marine chapters known as the Maelstrom Wardens. That also includes the Astral Claws, the Charnel Guard, and the Lamenters. The Mantis Warriors held guardianship over the stellar region of the Maelstrom Zone known as the Endumuan Cluster that contained a large number of human-settled feral and feudal worlds. Okay, here's where it starts to get actually interesting. When Chapter Master Luft-Huron of the Astral Claws declared that the Bedab sector had seceded from the Imperium in response to demands by the High Lords of Terra that seemed to be unjust intrusions upon the traditional autonomy of the Adeptus Astartes, the Mantis Warriors joined with the Astral Claws and other Maelstrom Warden chapters to defend what they saw as their rightful region of space, and their Emperor given duty to protect the people of the Maelstrom Zone region as best they could. The Mantis Warriors, like the other Maelstrom Warden chapters, did not know that Luft-Huron, in his hubris, had fallen to the desires for power and the temptations of chaos. When the civil war known as the Bedab Wars concluded, the Mantis Warriors sought to receive the Emperor's forgiveness after the Inquisition determined that there were no chaos taint upon them. It was determined that the Mantis Warriors' actions had been driven by an honest mistake, and the deceits of the man now known as Huron Blackheart, traitor to the Emperor and servant of the ruinous powers. The chapter was stripped of its traditional guardianship of the Edmund Cluster, which was handed over to the Firehawk chapters, while the Maelstrom Warriors were charged with the undertaking of a penitent crusade for 100 standard years, during which they could recruit no neophytes, to make up their losses. This is the particular piece of lore we were talking about where the Firehawks chapter gave the Carcaradons, or the Shark Space Marines, basically lots of leftover technology and weapons and equipment and stuff that the Mantis Warriors left behind on those worlds. They basically let them pillage them in recompense for them taking part in the Bedab Wars. The chapter's homeworld of Othia and its primary recruiting world of Tranquility 3 was handed over to the Space Sharks chapter. In the course of their pennant crusade, the Mantis Warriors found their numbers sorely eroded. However, following the chapter's participation in the defense of the strategically important world of Herodon 4 from a Tyranid splinter hive fleet in the late 41st millennium, the Inquisition ruled that the chapter had paid its penance to the Emperor and could begin to recruit once more to replace its great losses. But due to the historic crimes, the chapter received no Grey Shield Primaris Marines reinforcements after the birth of the Great Rift, when one of the Indominus Crusaders' torchbearer fleets reached it, leaving the Mantis Warriors terribly understrength and still on the near ruinous crusade. So this is very interesting. So they did in fact get given the ability to create their own Primaris Space Marines, but they were not given a single Primaris Space Marine from the get-go to bolster their numbers. And pretty much every other Space Marine chapter out there who was almost depleted, or even ones that are at near full strength, did get large numbers of Primaris Marines to bolster their force and help them grow and strive and fight and continue to do their thing. So the fact that they had to, like I said, get given the technology, which is fantastic, but they then would have had to spend years learning how to use it, implement it, and grow and prepare new Space Marines, train and stuff like that. So they had quite a long road ahead of them still. So that's a little bit about their jaded background. Let's give you a little bit of an idea of how they actually fight in combat. So, long renowned across the Segmentum Ultima for their cunning, the Mantis Warriors are certainly among the most unsung defenders of the Imperium of Man. To those few who have heard of them outside of the eastern fringe of the galaxy, the Mantis Warriors are renowned for their skills in guerrilla warfare and the devastating ambush and sudden large-scale assaults they are capable of unleashing upon the foes. Like many chapters who are tasked with the standing as the sentinels over far-flung frontiers, or to carry out vigils in those darker backwaters to the galaxy, where the darkest threats lie in wait, the Mantis Warriors long stood alone, their autonomy seldom challenged, and no other allies to come to their aid. Okay, so that's all the information that I'm going to share with the Mantis Warriors in this particular video. If you do want to kind of learn a little bit more about them, of course there's wiki pages dedicated to it, or if you can somehow get your hands on the information on the Bedab Wars books, they are fantastic books from Black Library, not from Black Library, from Forge World. The Imperial Armor books is what they're known as. There's two large books that break up and make up the story of the Bedab Wars. And it's just awesome. Like, it's so much lore, so many color schemes, so many armor variants. And this, of course, is going to tell you the entire story of the Bedab Wars incidents, including all major participants, all the characters, disposition, everything. It's awesome. As for the painting of this miniature, as you've seen, I went through some fairly basic, simple steps. One of my favorite things is, of course, delving into 3D printing halfway through the making of this miniature to get myself a Mantis Warrior symbol to put on the shoulder pad, as I have been kind of annoyed in some of the previous Space Marine videos when I did not have the correct transfers or chapter symbols for the models. I decided from now on, I'm just going to do my best to try and find them, print them off, whether it be a full shoulder pad or whether I've already got the miniature built, I can just get the symbol itself and glue it on top. This, I definitely think, adds a kind of an important bit of flair to the chapters. And like I said, the ones that I didn't get around to doing, like, they don't feel finished. And I don't want to have a collection of Space Marines out there feeling unfinished, especially having them out there as videos for people. I don't want people to get to the end of a video and think, that's cool, but I'd like to see what it looks like when it's finished. As you've seen, is a very simple technique with the Plague Bearer flesh and the Imperial Fist yellow for the armor. Very quick to layer up, easy to paint, no kind of crazy bright colors or anything strange. It's a very interesting tone for the armor. It's kind of like a yellowy green color. It definitely feeds into the idea of the mantis being their chapter symbol. I don't really know what their current chapter strength is. Like I said, I know they were greatly reduced from their pennant in Crusade. We don't actually have any numbers on what how many ships they have left in their fleet, or how many Battle Brothers they actually had at the end of that Crusade. And in the time since they've had their Primaris reinforcements, or the technology given to them by the Torchbearer fleets to have their models kind of, or their ranks swelled, how many they've actually managed to produce, and what their current strength is. And where they're currently serving. I don't know where they're currently serving. Like, they used to be out there on the fringes. Obviously, they served in the Bedab Wars, and then they were a crusade-based force. Now that their crusade has officially come to an end, are they going to settle in a particular range of space, or are they going to continue to be a fleet-based chapter from now on? Fight like that? Who knows? There doesn't seem to be a lot of trust with them left with the Imperium, so no one seems too inclined to offer them support, or to indeed take their support when kind of offered. So they may end up once again out there on the fringes, defending a very dark piece of space from horrible monsters, not receiving any reinforcements or any kind of aid from any other Imperial sources. Which is a sad thing, but you know, I think you're going to have to treat Space Marine chapters pretty harshly who turn against the light of the Imperium. A Space Marine chapter is quite a deadly weapon. Can't have them going rogue left, right, and center. Or should I say more rogue left, right, and center than we currently have. So, yeah. Maybe they deserve what they got. You guys can let me know what you think about the Mantis Warriors in the comment section below. Let me know if you think they deserve what they got. I mean, if one Space Marine kind of chapter master comes to you and says, we're going to keep this bit of space for ourselves, I know best. Should you go along with that? I don't think you should. And then after the war was over, after a war they served fighting against their fellow brothers, just putting their hands up to say, oh, my bad. I was misled. All forgiven? I don't think that's enough. So I think they're being treated harshly, but I think fairly, if you know what I mean. But it is a very interesting color scheme. I did enjoy it. A successor chapter to the White Scars is kind of interesting. You don't see very many of those, and they have seemed to vary quite far away from them. There doesn't seem to be a large contingent of bikes, and as it stands, they don't have a lot of heavy armor or access to other equipment, so they're primarily a foot slogging force these days. That's where the guerrilla tactics come in. The guerrilla tactics and the fast moving hit and run stuff can come in. So yeah, I think they're a pretty cool chapter. Let me know what you want to see next. Do you want to see more Bedab Wars stuff, or do you want to see other Space Marine chapters that are kind of more common? It's up to you. Maybe some of the new Primaris chapters deserve some love. We shall have to wait and see. Okay guys, we have our finished Mantis Warrior. Like I said, I really like how he turned out. I really like that I went to the extra effort and found some files and 3D printed his symbol, stuck it on his shoulder pad. Like the couple of Space Marines that I've done up until now that have been missing their shoulder iconographies have just never felt finished. It's always nicer when you see the shoulder pads done. It gives you a proper feel for what that chapter and what that army is going to look like. Hopefully you like the background as well. Quite interesting, quite a unique set of situations that these guys found themselves in, and I hope you've learned a little something about it. If you enjoyed this video, do those 3 normal things. They cost you not a penny except 2 seconds of your time. Like, comment, subscribe. They literally are super powerful and help push this video out to more people, help the channel grow bigger and bigger, which obviously promotes sponsorship and more views and more. It's just a great thing. It costs you nothing at all, but it means the world to us. All right. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do let me know in the comments below what other chapters you want to see, and I'll see you in the next one.